Welcome to the Loyalty Program Builders podcast, where together with the top industry experts, we discuss business and technical challenges of implementing and running loyalty programs. Loyalty programs are complex. That's why together with our guests, we make difficult processes easy to understand and provide actionable steps to reach your loyalty program goals. Subscribe to our newsletter and become a part of a community dedicated to loyalty program excellence. Hey everyone! Today we're running a loyalty program audit. The goal of this episode is to help you assess what's working and what's not working in your loyalty programs. And our guest is David Slavick, a world-class expert in CRM and loyalty business case development, program design and strategy, and global technology assessments. He has designed some of the largest and most successful loyalty programs in the retail, restaurant and hospitality, department store, and e-commerce sectors. David is a co-founder and partner at Ascendant Loyalty. Ascendant Loyalty delivers CRM and loyalty solutions for brands like Famous Footwear, Foot Locker, Macy's, Sage Hospitality, Red Lobster, and Metacorp, creating experiences that build relationships at every point in the customer journey. So without further ado, here's David. Hi David, great to have you on the show.
Great to be here. It's really looking forward to our visit, and I think we're going to be sharing a lot of great information with your audience.
Definitely. So today we are going to talk about loyalty program audit. So I would like to start with a very basic question, if you could explain the importance of running a loyalty program audit.
Yes. So we intentionally use that word audit, and I've actually written some articles on it, which then spurred you reaching out to me in that regard. Sometimes people hear audit and then it's like, oh, that's dangerous, or I don't want to get audited. Most people don't want to get audited, right? I don't know in Poland if they have an IRS. Do they? Do they have an IRS in Poland? Yeah. What's it called?
It's like Urząd Skarbowy.
Oh, that's a great name. I'll have to try pronouncing that next time. But it's essential. So if a program has been in the market for a number of years, call it 3 to 5 years, let's say, it's a really good idea to take a step back and think about performance, think about the service model, think about how the program is constructed, and understand what's working and what isn't, not from a top-line standpoint, but truly every area of the program. Every single touch point, all of your assumptions, how you're communicating with your members, how it's operating in terms of, your store associates and dialoguing with customers, your salespeople. If it's a business-to-business program, you can do an audit. All the different touch points, all the different components, the entire operating model, as well as the financial performance, to really understand what's working, what isn't, and then how you can refine it over time. All of the various analysis that you do in that regard, then if you decide that there are things that you can change and that potentially that would go and improve the overall performance or return on investment from the program, you prioritize those things accordingly. That can also inform your budgeting, because if there's some change which has a need for incremental investment with new tools, new solutions, a new service provider, that a different approach relative to discounting, a different approach relative to your reward structure, your value proposition, etc. You have to budget for those things and then do a new financial model, which is informed by past performance. So it's super important to think about it, reflect on it, and we're in June right now of 2023. Great time to do it, either with your own internal staff or your business partners that are supporting you with your loyalty, your affinity, your reward program, your credit card company. Do it. Spend the time, whether it's 2 days, 3 days, identify in a progressive way, going through all those operational components, discuss it and say what's working, what isn't, what could we change, Let's brainstorm, et cetera, et cetera. It's very healthy.
Okay. I know that it's, very complex, and this audit is, definitely it consists of many different points. But based on your experience, like when it comes to performance, what are the signs that the loyalty program audit is required?
Well, you should be capturing the data, and then that should be informing your financial model or your business assumptions, obviously. And so if you have projections relative to enrollment, and enrollment is slowing down, why? Figure out those reasons why enrollment is slowing down. It could very well be that B, you need to look at the overall value proposition. So what it is that is the give and get between the enterprise and your member. If it's not compelling anymore because you've been outquicked by your competition and they're offering something better than you are, then that means you need to go and adjust your value proposition. Anything from a competitive standpoint can have an influence on your program performance. So as part of an audit, you should do a thorough competitive analysis, not only of your direct competitors, but your indirect competitors. And you should be going and looking at companies that you admire that are best practitioners in the space. And that can also inform how you should be adapting your program to meet consumer needs, because the best practitioners are doing a really good job of observing, and you can go and pick up on how their customers, how their program members, how their consumers, how their customers are responding to that program. That's a current trend. So if they're doing some really smart things and you're not, as part of the overall reflection or audit about your performance, you can look at it accordingly. So there's so many areas that you can really dig into, but enrollment, units per transaction, if that's a consideration, your basket size is gotten weaker. Your average transaction value, ATV, you want to look at frequency of visit. You want to understand what your overall segmentation profile looks like and what your value segments are. You may have launched a program and anticipated a certain level of upward value migration from your members when you launched the program. And if you're not seeing the migration of your customers and those new members, where you're not stealing market share from your competition as effectively as you thought you were, going from tier 1 gold to tier 2, platinum, to tier 3, something of an even higher level, or a private tier, those areas to understand that migration and understanding how your individual segments of members are performing. You had certain assumptions and you're not seeing that. It's slowing down. People are staying in the same grouping. And very importantly, because it drives belief and advocacy in the program, is reward redemption. If a lot of your rewards, once issued, are not going redeemed, that's a big problem. That's either because of the delivery method and people aren't opening their emails to get their reward, or they're not clicking on their SMS, which then takes them to their profile online, ultimately when they're signed in, to ultimately redeem their reward and have a shopping visit. It could be that, you were enabling it off of the mobile app and you're not getting high adoption of your mobile app because your mobile app isn't compelling and people are dropping their mobile app off of their phone. So any of these areas, especially reward redemption, because they're your advocates. If they're redeeming, they're believing in the program, they're recommending signing up to the program, and you need to look at that as well.
Sure. Thank you. You also mentioned service models. So not only performance, but also service models. Could you elaborate on that? Maybe just, also briefly describe the service models that are available?
Sure. So some companies go and start out with a program, whether it's on the business-to-business side, and it's a smaller enterprise or even a large enterprise, a corporate manufacturing entity, and they're doing it all in-house. They may have a particular platform that they're using for direct marketing, customer relationship marketing, and that's in-house. Their staff and the strategists and the analysts and the modelers are all in-house. They may outsource some of the analytics based upon the areas of specialization. And the people that are running the program, no problem, it's all in-house. So if the entire program is all in-house and they maybe even have built a system to go and manage the program, okay, is that limiting the potential of the program? Have new tools come on board that they should be looking at, platforms like Open Loyalty to go and manage these programs? You should think about it. You should evaluate your analytical firm. Maybe they're not as advanced as they once were. They're not doing artificial intelligence. They're not doing machine learning. They're not, pushing the envelope relative to digging into the statistics that show how the program is performing. And you as a program manager are disappointed in the information or strategy or insight that you're getting from your analytical team. They're not helping you to drive overall performance. So your core of excellence as it relates to analytics is problematic. So that kind of a business model that's all insulated is a very efficient model. However, managing that platform or managing that system that's in-house built by an excellent IT organization, not a problem. They know their business. They know the enterprise. They are dedicated to helping the corporation succeed, but it doesn't have the feature functionality that you need in this business to ultimately win in tough competitive marketplace. It's worthwhile to go and examine what's out there, but don't examine what's out there until you've defined what your needs are. So when going through the audit, you identify where those weaknesses are. What's the strengths, what the weaknesses, what the opportunities, what are the threats to our business. And by defining your requirements or defining the feature functionality that you need from the program that you currently have in an in-house solution, that by understanding customer journeys as well, you may find that you are falling behind. You may find that you're not competitive anymore. You may find that what you're spending in technology is very inefficient, that in continuing to go and update that platform and continuing to go and adapt to consumer needs and be able to do a really strong job of digital engagement, which is what consumers are requiring these days, an in-house only solution is inefficient and not effective. And you could improve your efficiency and your effectiveness by outsourcing. So another model is a hybrid model. You have the staff, they're running it. You have the analytical team or a partner, and they're doing a good job for you, but you're outsourcing your technology. So it's a hybrid model. It's in-house and it's out-of-house. But the technology that you're currently using is costing you too much. It may be a pay-for-performance model, and you're paying on a per transaction, and you're paying too much. So you're not getting a proper return on your investment. It could be that company that you're currently working with has lost its way. And so they're not progressively updating the feature functionality of their platform. They don't have a vision for continuing to go and update their roadmap. And I've seen that where they've got a licensed solution and they're just not adapting to the demands in the marketplace. Or it's hard-coded and it's not open source technology like Open Loyalty has. And that type of a business model and open source coding and open source technology is the most adaptive and adjustable, and being able to go and meet any enterprise needs with open source APIs and the ability to achieve efficient connectivity. It could be that the technology that you're currently using is not supporting real time, which is what consumers want. So there's an immediate give and get. There's an immediate response. There's no delay. Consumers or business customers want to be told what it is that they're earning or what their potential is in a very fast method. And so consequently, you're not satisfying their needs and they have low satisfaction. So that's another reason why to go and look at technology that's out there. So the infrastructure that the company has in that business model is just fine, but the technology is not. And so you should, do an RFI, an RFP, and source better technology. And the third model that you might find through an audit is 100% outsourced. So you don't take on a significant overhead within your enterprise. You outsource it. Those vendors do a great job of going and servicing your needs. So they're basically the operational aspect of the program, but you have a program owner in-house that's the visionary for the program. They're the head of loyalty and customer experience and customer engagement, and they're a good internal partner for communicating how the program is running and keeping up on trends and fighting a good competitive fight. But everything else is outsourced. So your analytics is outsourced, your technology is outsourced, all those different service areas that you're reliant on, production, creative, that's all outsourced as well. And you may find that reducing, or CFO looks at it and says, actually, there can be a very efficient model for this by 100%, more or less 100% outsourcing the solution and using that vendor as a profit center. So if they perform and do a great job, that's how they get paid. So it could be on a performance basis, and they have skin in the game to ultimately support your business needs. And there are companies out there that are doing exactly that.
Okay, thank you. So what does this program audit look like? How long is it typically? If you could just explain a bit more on how to run through it,
Well, one thing that I'm going to do is I'll send over to you a Word document that people can reference after viewing this session. So hopefully you're still with us in this dialogue. And we'll send that over, and you can have it on PDF, and we also have it on our website, ascendantloyalty.com. So it's our pleasure to go and provide it. And it's a couple pages long because it goes through all the different component parts. But just think of it as, what is your value proposition? How is the program performing in terms of metrics? What is the operating model? What's happening on a technology standpoint, and where can things ultimately work better for you? How is the program being supported from a staff standpoint, and should we be incrementally adding to staff or pulling back on staff based upon the maturity of the program? The other part is evolution. Maybe you're missing out because you have slowed down as far as membership is concerned. So a new component that you didn't look at before is partnerships, which is a really hot area. So that you bringing in value-added offers as part of your overall value proposition that you weren't giving before. So really, it's those essential component parts, whether it's people, whether it's process, whether it's the operating model, whether it's program design and strategy, all of those component parts are part of the audit.
Okay, thank you. So once the audit is complete, how do you determine the necessary steps to improve a loyalty program?
So I mentioned it at the start of our visit, which is set up prioritization. What's the demand on resources? What's the benefit in terms of incremental revenue or lift in the program? Do a 4-box model. And so you've got, 4 components: low demand on resources, low value of revenue, low demand on resources, but high benefit of revenue, high demand on resources and high revenue potential, high demand on resources, but lower revenue component, that top left quadrant. You take those individual initiatives that you identified, look at new technology, adjust the value proposition, change the operating model, do a refresh on your communications and training to your store associates, and just refresh what the program's all about. You didn't have employees participating in the program, so they weren't satisfactory advocates about the program. Maybe you should be looking at including the employees and earning in the program. So there's individual tactical things that you can identify. So there's big chunk ideas, and then there's tactical ideas. All of those things can get put down in that 4-box model. and then have people reflect on it. They can either score those individual initiatives. Some people may say, oh, no, it's not going to be a high demand on resources. IT will tell you it's always a high demand on resources. But the perspective relative to immediate change in revenue contribution, usually you know what's going to have a high change in revenue. But if you change your value proposition, there's risk. But with risk comes reward. So you got to think about it. If you change, if it's a 5% funding rate for every $100 or currency that's spent, you get 5% back. If all of a sudden you change it to 2.5% to reduce your overall liability, but you feel that the program is so mature that you don't need to fund it at 5%, there's risk that's associated with that. Or, like I said, you look at your individual segments of members, early value at gold, next level at platinum, and then the third level could be a private or an even higher tier. And if you adjust the overall value proposition across those tiers, that's a program refresh. That's a program redesign. That could have high demand on resources, but a significant improvement in the overall revenue contribution or profitability of the program. And so, many companies go and redesign their programs or refresh their programs, and then they bring in consultants like us to ultimately address it.
Okay, thank you. So before we wrap it up, I have one more question. So what advice would you give to loyalty program managers who are looking to continuously improve their programs?
I would say do quarterly business reviews with your partners and talk about it. The partners will come to you with ideas. The credit card company that you work with, or the proprietary card or a co-brand card, will give you ideas and talk to you about new innovations. I would say another thing is to go to conferences and cross-pollinate with other companies that are either in your field or outside of your field and learn from them new and emerging trends so you could reflect on it and think creatively about how your program is performing and what you might aspire to. I would say if you don't have a core group of partners that are part of the support for the program, you should have a half-day offsite and you just talk about the program, what's working, what isn't, how well are we communicating with each other, what could we do differently. You've observed the program over time. What do you think is good about the program, and what do you think is not so good about the program? I would spend time, believe it or not, with my finance team. And I would say, you're supporting me with the overall business case that's associated with the program. What do you think this program should be achieving? We went to the board and we presented the business case and the financial model, and we're seeing that we're okay, but we're not overachieving. What could we do differently? Now, the key is, like I said, be careful about the funding rate or the value proposition that's associated with the program. You'll find that companies look at what Amazon is doing, and they have a paid program, and they charge over $100 to belong to that program. And the advantage are savings at, in grocery here in the U.S. You get 10% off when you shop at Whole Foods, I believe, still, and you get programming. Lots of companies go, oh, I'll do a paid program, and that will solve all of my problems. Not necessarily. Be careful what you wish for. Because a paid program is something that's a separate thing to ultimately manage, because you've got to manage acquisition, you've got to manage the payment, you've got to manage early cancellations, which is no fun for your call center, and you have to chase renewals the following year. And there's going to be a roll-off where people do not renew. They take advantage of the immediate savings that's associated with it because they're deep into your brand, but now they satisfied many of their needs and they don't need to go and renew. So you've got to be careful with the various things that don't try doing something when it comes to the refresh or a new program and think that's going to be what we call the silver bullet to solve all your problems. Figure out foundation. What were the assumptions associated with the program? How is the program performing? How is the program operating? And ultimately then, like I said, prioritize and you'll have a better result. And the last thing that I would say, because I'm biased, is hire an expert to do an expert's job. Bring in an outside consultant like Ascendant Loyalty to ultimately help you.
Cool. Thank you very much for sharing your expertise. Is there anything else you would like to share with the audience?
You can reach me at david.slavick, Slavick, at ascendantloyalty.com. And you'll find my contact information in my LinkedIn profile.
Awesome. I find this conversation very inspiring. Don't you just want to conduct a loyalty program checkup? If you do, we've got the complete audit document for you. So let's wrap up with a few housekeeping items. First, you'll find helpful links in the podcast description. Second, be sure to subscribe to our newsletter for more valuable content related to the episode. And stay tuned for the next one. Have a wonderful day, everyone. The Loyalty Program Builders podcast is brought to you by the team at Open Loyalty, the world's most flexible loyalty software for creating personalized loyalty and gamification programs fast and at scale.